What time it is?
Podcast time.
Yeah, it's a Sunday night. Sunday night here. Got a little gentleman
Wow.
the jerk. Mark, how are you doing, buddy?
Wonderful. I just watched it go from, 6 down to 1 before we even started. They must hate this
This
topic
happens.
today.
This happens every time.
It happens every time.
I
It's like,
think
I mean,
YouTube, man.
I think it's you. I think they don't like your promotional material
That's
there
not-
at the beginning.
That's not accurate. I think you're.
That's
I think
not
you're-
accurate.
no,
I know
think
it's
you're
not
wrong.
accurate.
I think
They
you're very
love it.
wrong. I'm just gonna say that. I
Yeah.
think you're wrong. How we doing, Mark? It's another week. We missed a week last week. There was
We
some,
missed a week.
some
My
stuff
bad.
happening.
Yep. Life gets in the way sometimes, but yep. Hey, we're here. We're having fun. Let's focus on this great top 10 list we're going to be going through.
Yep.
Um,
We're gonna start
yeah.
with me this time, right?
Yeah, and I think we're gonna have to rush through this
Yeah,
a little bit, but
we're gonna have to
there's
fly
some.
because we did
I
5
think
last
there's
time
some
and barely had enough
similarities.
time, and this is 10.
Yep.
So
Yep.
this is
Let's
this
do
is gonna
this.
be a hurried up one. And I figure we only have a couple of things that are similar. There's only a few that are similar. We kind of went in different directions with this thing, and I think when we get talking, it's gonna be for very different reasons. So we're gonna introduce what it is. I'll do the split screen like we did last time with the video playing in between us. We'll talk about what it is that we like and don't like. We'll go back and forth a little bit. We'll try to keep it. We got to keep it to like 2.5 minutes per person. If
Yep.
that sound about right to you?
Yep. Dump
All right.
button.
I'm going first. Number 10 for me, Radiator Springs Racers. That's located out at Disney's California Adventure. And it is, I got to tell you, I was absolutely blown away the first time that I saw this ride. Cars
Oh my
Land
God.
is unbelievable. The ride is unbelievable. It's test track.
It's the best ride ever.
Yeah, spoiler alert, it's test track, but at the same time, the theming is unbelievable. What's really cool about it is the scale, the way that they use force perspective to make you feel like you really are in Radiator Springs with
Oh my God.
with all of
And
that
it's-
stuff in the background.
The best part is they built this whole land and they took the land and then they turned it into a ride. Pretty fantastic. Pretty great.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was very impressed. I've only been on it, been on the ride twice. In the time that we were there, I rode it twice. And I've never been a huge fan of test track, especially after they changed the ride. So to see how they took the same basic ride vehicle and premise and just made a superior roller coaster, how fantastic! So
Oh my gosh.
That's my number
and
10.
It's effectively the same thing. It's just better.
yep. So what do you got for number 10, Mark?
So number 10 for me, I got Soarin' over California, specifically California, because they did a terrible job. They did a terrible job with the what was I going to say? The whole
Switch over to
the whole
sort of
switch
roll?
over is crazy. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why they did it the way they did. It was very strange. You've got the curved screens on the other Soarin', but California, oh my God, what a great ride. I completely 100% am excited every time I see it. And they've brought it back a few times in California.
They have.
I don't know if you got to see it.
I did, as a matter of fact. No, I did. I'm sorry, I lied. I did not. They were doing so over the world. I will say this. I also, as always, and we can talk about this on another episode, the superiority of almost everything in California, given the scope and size of Disney World versus Disneyland. This is another example. The theming of the actual ride queue in California, Disney's California Adventure, is very superior to what you get in Disney World. If for some reason the Disney World feels almost futuristically cheap in much the same way Tomorrowland and most of Future World and Epcot does. Whereas in California,
You're right.
it's themed like a 60s or 70s, 50s, 60s airplane Quonset hunt, like military type hangar. I really like the theming of it.
Yep, I agree, and it fits the land as well because you've got that fake airport out front.
Yep.
Where they just tacked the ride on to the building. It was just crazy. So.
Yep, I have to agree with you as well on that one. So keep moving on.
They could have found a better spot for it, but you know what? I think it works. It's fun. It's the same ride either way.
Right,
so
right, and the ride vehicle, it's between California and Florida is identical.
What a piece of machinery that is! What an engineering marvel, really.
And the fact that he did it with like a home erector set kit, and
on the weekend using an erector set and got
great
that
story.
going. So
absolutely great story.
Very cool.
All right.
Yep.
What's
your number 9?
My number 9 for the day. This is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. Sticking with the Disney's California Adventure thing. This ride, another one that is a copy of another ride vehicle. This is Tower of Terror that was rethemed. For those that may not know. And this retheme took place, what year was that? Because you were there for the opening of that, correct, Mark?
So the retheme was 4 years ago. We were there for the opening. We went to the opening premiere event, which was totally amazing. I pretty much thought I was going to die. I had written my obituary before I got there because I'd been on Tower Terror once, and it was the worst experience of my life, I think. So, knowing that I'm going to this event, spending all this money to go there, and I have no choice but to get on the ride. Yep, that was it.
That's cool.
That was it. So I know you love it. Even the beginning, the pre-show's amazing.
The pre-show is unreal. The way that they rethemed what was the lobby of the hotel to make it into the collectors sanctuary.
It was smart.
Yeah, it was very well done. What I like about this, so one of the biggest complaints of Tower of Terror when it was still at Disney's California Adventure is that the Disney World version was updated several years ago to make it a computerized random ride. So your ups and your downs and your drops and all that kind of stuff was completely randomized. In theory, every single ride was different. Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout in California has, I believe, only 5. If memory serves.
6 songs.
Yeah, there's 5. Each song has its own path. So it goes up 3, down 5, up 6, down 2, whatever the case may be. And then what I love about this is you're not just opening up to shots of the park, and each time the floor stops, it's the characters from the movie acting out a scene.
On the screen, having fun, and there's monsters and all sorts of stuff. They actually have a 7th song that they only put out Halloween, Monsters After Dark, which is an original song. So,
the other thing is, too,
really
the Rocket Raccoon, that's the animatronic Rocket Raccoon that's at the opening of it
good.
is so good. You can see him on the screen right now.
Yeah,
so
cool.
good. So, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, my first 3... my first 3 of the whole thing so far, all Disney California Adventure. Probably the least successful of all the Disney parks, and yet we're picking them right off the bat.
You know what? The stuff they've added on afterwards is pretty solid. It's just you don't have that cohesive, experience.
Sure.
So
I can't.
And you know what? We're about to break that trend right now.
What do you got?
We're going across the Esplanade to Fantasyland and Disneyland and Disney World for that matter. We're going to go with my number 9. Which is Peter Pan's Flight.
Peter Pan's Flight.
It had to make somebody's list. This is just it's the only on my list. It's the only of the original ride from opening day at Disneyland. So something had to make the list that was nostalgia and fun, and it really had that unique ride vehicle for the time. It was quite an engineering marvel, really. Pretty fantastic that they were able to pull that off at that point. They pretty much took the same ride vehicle and just hung it upside down. But man, think about the engineering 65 years ago that they didn't know now. They were hand building, all the cars for Main Street. Everything was just new. And it's amazing to think now you contract it out to another company and they build it for you. But back then it was, there was nothing they were starting from scratch on everything.
Figuring it all out on their own.
Cool.
Yeah, which is fantastic. I do love Peter Pan's Flight. I especially love Got some dinner coming back up. I especially love. I had Thai food for Vietnamese food for dinner, and it's really fighting with me. But no, I love Peter Pan's Flight. I especially love the new queue that they put in place a few years back. It's a very interactive queue, a lot of cool Disney magic, special effects, pixie dust kind of stuff. What I don't like about Peter Pan's Flight is this unbelievable need that people have to stand in line for this ride. I cannot waste a fast. Well, there's no fast passes right now, but I cannot waste a fast pass on this ride. I refuse to do it because for me, the ride itself is okay. It's the queue that I really enjoy, but God, that queue is almost always 2 hours, and I just don't. I don't want to spend 2 hours to see Peter Pan's Flight. I just can't do it.
Well, and it's funny because in Disneyland, it's the one that people run to, and it's insane. It's like, why are these people? I mean, and I know why, because if you don't run to it, it's going to be 45 minutes.
Right. It's ridiculous.
In the most cramped, ridiculous. I mean, I'm 6'2", 280 pounds. You try and get me through that queue. I mean, I got to walk sideways in some parts of that. But I mean, again, it's a throwback. It's charming, and that's part of it. And Disney World has done some updates. They've got that much larger indoor queue that they've added to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's definitely a change, and it's a different ride vehicle. It's effectively an Omnimover style vehicle.
Yep.
Just
up in the air.
Whereas you've got this old almost crank mechanism in Disneyland. It's just, for me, it's just charming, and both ways it works out well.
Sure. So, no, I agree, and I agree with your reference to the nostalgia piece and the day one piece of Disneyland. So my number 8, moving on. My number 8 is a little bit different than most attractions that we're going with today. My number 8 is the People Mover, which is located in Tomorrowland. It's part of the Tomorrowland Transit Authority, located in Tomorrowland in the Magic Kingdom. Unfortunately, if memory serves, there is no People Mover in Disneyland because they tried to make a spectacular ride that failed miserably.
Rocket Rods.
Rocket Rods.
I was there. Bank anything.
Yeah, that's correct. I was there when Rocket Rods came out in Disneyland. I was a cast member at the Magic Kingdom, and I know what a miserable failure it was. I think I've talked about it on this show before.
Yeah.
But the People Mover, the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover in Disney World is one of my favorites. It's one of the handful of rides that I do every single time that I step foot at Disney World. In fact, most of those rides that we had a pretty cool made the list.
Experience the last time.
Yeah, we get to see
lights on
in Space Mountain, and also one of the few rides that I've actually had to be evacuated from and got to walk on the track with the assistance of a cast member.
Oh, cool!
Yeah,
you got 101.
That was neat, and then all we got is a fast pass for it, but
that's all right. You got a better experience.
It offers spectacular views. For the last couple of years, you'll be able to see the building of Tron. It has all the cool, kitschy, old school history lessons about what's going on inside of the Space Mountain and the future and Tomorrowland and all that kind of stuff. It's one of those nice ways of sitting and relaxing, recharging, getting your legs rested. There's no air conditioning, but you get to see everything that kind of is going on.
Get some wind.
Yeah, it's for me. It's always been one of those special moments for every trip, especially when you're sitting in the Magic Kingdom.
And it should have probably made my list. You've changed. It was close. It was already close.
That's awesome.
It should have made my list.
Oh, I wish it had. That would have been cool. I really do. It's one of the few things in every travel vlog to Disney World that I've ever done. I've shot something on the People Mover. It's just
that's super cool.
It's the perfect place to take a break and talk to the camera and do that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's a funny part about Tomorrowland. There's a lot of things that make you want to fall asleep and just be relaxed.
Yeah, they need to
talk about the Carousel of Progress too.
Yeah, they
anyway,
need to
not on my list.
Yeah, what's next on your list? What's your number?
Okay, so next on my list is the Kilimanjaro Safaris. Again, this is an infinitely repeatable attraction. I mean, it's different every single time. I've had rhinoceroses and animals walk in front of me. I had a ostrich tried to poke me in the eye one time. I mean, it's super cool. It's just, you get a different experience every single time. You get something similar to the Jungle Cruise with the skippers.
Right. And
spoiler alert, didn't make my list. I'm sure I'm going to have people that are, what the hell? Why didn't it make your list? But I mean, it's a fun experience. I love the animals. I love seeing them. The cast members there are some of the most passionate cast members in the whole, the whole resort. I mean, they love what they're doing. It's very, very clear. And that's for me, that's a compelling reason to get on that ride again.
Awesome. And this did not make my list, even though it's again one of those things that I do every single trip to Disney World. One of my complaints about Kilimanjaro Safaris and why it did not make my list is because, like you said, it's different every time, but it's also not good every time. I've had some.
You like your animatronics. You want things to be like clockwork.
No. That doesn't bother me at all. It's not an animal thing. What I don't, the biggest problem that I've had with Kilimanjaro Safaris, there's been some drivers or guides that I felt, even though they were passionate.
Have you gotten a few bad ones?
Yeah, I've gotten some bad ones. And worst case yet, I've gotten crying children on the vehicle. And crying children
you love that.
on this vehicle ruins this. And this is a long ride. And if you are stuck with a crying child, you're stuck with that crying child for nearly 15 minutes. And that's a long time. And you know, right near a rhinoceros, you could toss that kid and nobody would be any wiser because everybody's distracted. And I haven't done it yet, and I'm not saying I'm going to. I'm just saying.
The rhinoceros eats vegetables, not children.
But they can stomp on them. They can stomp on a child, which is almost the same thing.
Not really.
The other thing about this, if I had to pick the best part of this, it's not even Kilimanjaro Safaris. It's the Wild Africa Trek. You have not done the
Wild. I have.
Oh, you have done the Wild Africa Trek.
Of course, I have.
Okay, so that's.
What do you think?
The Wild Africa Trek is basically a behind-the-scenes tour of.
You get a private vehicle, and you get to go wherever the hell they want to take you.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't even have to stay on the tracks.
I've done that twice now, and that is a superior.
See?
A superior.
You are superior.
Event.
You did it twice.
Wow, you were superior to me in so many other ways, Mark. Where this is just
You're
one
right.
of the things.
Look how big my head is. Gosh,
awesome. So that's.
I look like a freaking. I look like Shrek today. What the hell?
You got to shave that head, man. All right, so that's your number
8.
eight.
Yeah, I know.
Moving on to number 7. My number 7, sticking with the same park at Animal Kingdom. Yep. My number 7 is Expedition Everest.
Too much for me.
Oh, that's a shame. Certainly the number 1 roller coaster, without a doubt, in all of Disney World and all of their locations. It is just, it's fun. It tells a story. The queue is amazing. I mean, I really just love pretty much everything about this ride. I another one of those things that I have to ride almost every time that I'm there. I actually shot a really cool handheld. I had a camera in front. In fact, the one that I'm shooting with right now, I had a camera in front and a GoPro facing back at me. So 2 cameras shot a whole video ride through of this, but it's part of a larger YouTube video, so I didn't want to include it in this little frame by frame here. But I mean, what an enjoyable ride. It's got forward, it's got backward, it's got a huge animatronic that doesn't work anymore because Joe Rohde broke it.
Never worked.
But great drops.
I forgot to mention that. Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, that ended up being Joe Rohde's last project that he finished.
Is it now?
Yeah, that was it. Because he was starting to work on Lighthouse Point for Disney Cruise Line.
Correct, the cruise line thing. That's right, because he didn't have anything to do with Galaxy's Edge.
That was his last project. Sorry for throwing that out there, but I forgot to mention it earlier.
Well, no, we should absolutely mention Joe Rohde. I mean, he's such a huge part of all this.
If you check him on Instagram and you want to buy something really, really expensive, he's doing eBay auctions for some of his stuff. Nice. He's starting to clear himself out. So,
because he's probably mad at Disney right now. From what I understand, it wasn't his choice to leave as much as anything else.
It wasn't as fast as he got another job outside of it.
Yeah,
he's
one of the most employable people in the world for as
with
far
his
as
old boss at that.
Yeah, so. Exactly. But anyway, fantastic roller coaster. Certainly not for everybody. It is one of the few.
Too much for me.
It's one. Yeah. Well, that's why it's one of the few actual thrill rides.
It is. It absolutely
in all
is.
of Disney. So.
I'm not saying it wasn't fun, but I've experienced it. I can check it off my list, and I don't need to do it again.
It's one of my kids. My kids both love it. There have been a couple of trips that my kids have gone single rider and just ridden over and over and over and over. So,
and I can see them having fun doing that.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep. So this part, by the way, in the dark screen right here. If you've never ridden Expedition Everest, you are going backward in the complete darkness, and it's quite terrifying. What is your number? What is your number 7, Mark? We're going to stick with the roller coaster a little bit, kind of.
More up my speed at where I like to be. I'm going to go with Splash Mountain. It's not. I don't even care that there's a retheme coming. I think that's going to be excellent as well. It's just a fun experience floating through the water. Good music, which the retheme is going to be amazing music as well. But that drop's about as good as I can go. What is it, 80 feet, 60 feet, something like that. Yeah, no, I'm good. That's terrifying enough for me, but it's super fantastic. I love riding that. Again, it's one of those that I have to do every time I go. Yeah, I not much I really need to say about it because I'm really excited to see what it becomes going forward. If that re-theme still happens.
Well, it's definitely going to happen. They pushed that pretty hard when they were
went
doing
all
it.
in on that.
But here's the question.
Anything.
The thumbnail that you gave me for the number 7 plus the video that I pulled here are both from Disney World.
Yep.
Which one's the superior attraction?
Disney World is superior.
Okay, so you like the side-by-side ride versus the
I like the side-by-side. They did a better job. I mean, I know this sounds strange, but the paintings on the background are better. I think the ride's is slightly longer, some better scenes. Yeah, it's better. They're both fantastic rides. It's not like the difference between Pirates of the Caribbean East Coast and Pirates of the Caribbean West Coast, because there is a massive difference there.
Right.
But either of them solid, and I'll ride either of them any day of the week. I'll be very, very happy.
I am actually ashamed to admit this, but I have forgotten it. Does the Disney Railroad go through the showboat scene in both locations?
I know it goes through it in Disneyland because I've seen it. I've never seen it in Disney World, so I can't confirm nor deny that. But maybe one of our locals that's on the podcast today listening could tell us.
And I do apologize. That. The complexities of the screen changes that I have to do here, I am not able to watch the chat tonight. So if I miss anything in the chat, my apologies. But Mark is handling the chat tonight, not me. I have to agree.
I should probably change over because I'm as me then.
That doesn't matter. You can be you. Everybody knows who you are.
Right.
Again, Splash Mountain is one of my favorite rides too. I love the feel of it. It did not make my list, and this is what I'm saying, that we could have done a top 20 list, and we probably would have had the same
top
list.
30.
This is what's really cool about it. So moving on to number 6. My number 6 is Soarin'. And my number 6 is Soarin' in Disney World. It's my home park. It's the one that I go to the most. It's the one that I ride the most. And I am one of the few people that actually really rather enjoys Soarin' around the world. I like the new scenes, even though they're mostly digitized. The effect of the smells, I think, is better. Although I get where people complain about it, but I've gotten it down to a routine now, and I really like how they have the hidden Mickeys in it, and I like the Eiffel Tower scene and all that kind of stuff.
Thank you, Jeannie, for answering the question on Splash Mountain that yes, it does go through.
It goes through both. Okay, so
thank you.
So now we are confirmed. I can see it in my head, but I couldn't remember if it was both.
I can too. I can think. I look up and I think I see the plexiglass up there, but I know I see it in Disneyland. Anyway,
perfect.
So
Yeah, so Soarin', I mean, and now you'll see the queue difference although I don't think we saw the queue in the first one, but the queue in this one is more like a futuristic, different. Yeah, it's more like a futuristic airport terminal as opposed to the more like World War II era terminal that you see in Disney's California Adventure. But
you feel like you've got a bunch of crop dusters and all sorts of stuff sitting there, and then you walk into this old hangar, whereas you lose you lose it because you go into a building in Disney World. You don't get that same sense of a massive airport. I at least don't.
Yep.
Because you're walking in from a food court into a ride. I mean, it feels like to be honest, it feels like something in that regard that you're going to the mall to see. So,
sure. Yeah. Well, and it was plugged in. It was plugged in after the fact. Certainly not a launch location for the park when Epcot was
absolutely.
built. And the thing is for me, and I'm kind of sad. I didn't put it on my list for a couple of different reasons. So spoiler alert. But the thing with me is I always do Soarin' and then walk off of Soarin' and walk right on to Living in the Land. So that land pavilion for me is just it's my home. I don't do Soarin' every time, but I do Living in the Land at least once every single trip. So
and now there's a new movie up there that we haven't seen yet.
Correct, at the old location of the Lion King movie, and I have not seen it yet. We'll get to see
that. We'll probably see that next time. So
we're gonna be there in August.
Yeah, got to try it. So
yeah,
I mean it's super cool, super awesome. Again, it made both of our lists. I think I prefer a different video to you, but I think it's because that's what I remember.
Right, that's my boy.
And it's fantastic.
Will Burton. Yes. Okay, carry on. What is your number 6, Mark?
All right, my number 6 is Flight of Passage, and the only reason this ride is this low is because I get motion sick on it. I think it's a fun ride, and you know what? Again, this is a ride that belonged on my worst of list as well, but it's just the queue is the best queue in Walt Disney World, in my opinion. There are better queues in Disneyland, but at Walt Disney World, it is the best queue. I don't know anything that I mean, we'll talk about another queue that's not really a queue shortly, I'm sure. But yeah, best queue in Walt Disney World. It's a fun ride. The ride vehicle is so unique. I mean, it breathes while you're sitting there,
Yeah,
which is,
it's
crazy.
incredible.
It's a feat of engineering that I just, I still don't get how they did it so well. I have to close an eye because I do get about halfway through and get motion sick. And if I keep going, I'm going to have a bad day. So outside of that, it's wonderful. It's got even, I wouldn't say it has a story, but there is, there's something to it where you can actually kind of get an idea of what's actually going on and why you're there.
Sure.
It's just an experience, just like all of Pandora. Pandora's an experience.
Yes.
I mean, it really is. So.
And I think that's one of the reasons, even though the movie divides people as far as whether or not they like the franchise, it's not really, it's a single movie, but it's going to become a franchise.
Yeah.
But
we'll
the
see.
land
2040.
Yeah. But the land is one of the superior sub parks that they have built.
Absolutely.
Sadly, the California side does not have a Pandora. But it is one of those places I have to go to every single time. I was lucky enough to get a DVC preview of Pandora before they opened a couple of years ago, and to ride this ride before launch day and to see what it was. I mean, legitimately brought me to tears. And it was probably 2 or 3 rides of that ride before I figured out what they were doing. Like really took the time to look around and see how the ride works. And even knowing what's behind the curtain, it's still just an amazing ride for me. I absolutely love Flight of Passage.
It's also the only ride I've ever cut in line because you were ahead of us, and I wasn't going to go 3 hours back. So whatever. Sorry, that's not my thing. I don't like to even, not my thing. Still makes me feel awkward that I did it, but at least I can admit it.
There you go. Well, at least you're a good person. You're a good person deep down inside, Mark.
It just bugs the hell out of me that people. Anyway, so let's keep on going.
Keeping on. My number five is one of my favorites. Spaceship Earth, the icon of Epcot. The icon of Epcot. The
outside of the building is beautiful. The inside is. Rough.
I love the nostalgic feel of just how out of date this ride is. I love Dame Judi Dench, and I'm going to be sad as hell when they replace her voice with somebody else. There was an update to this coming, and then they halted it because of COVID. Yeah. So they've opened the existing ride back up. There are some things in there that are in dire need. The projection system. Oh, I almost fell on my face. The projection system for the some
You're
of the dark.
Down.
Well, I was leaning on my arm and it slipped out from underneath me. The projection needs some updating. The lighting is not great.
Do you know what? Bingo. Because my biggest problem with the ride is I'm coming in from every time I've ridden it was been in the middle of the day and it's bright out, and I go inside and my eyes take so long to adjust that I miss half of the beginning of the ride.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that.
That sucks.
Yeah, no, I'll absolutely give you that. And I don't even know. I haven't even watched through this video here to see if you can actually see. Here's a perfect example of it. How dark this gets in here, and this is a low light camera.
Yeah. It's crazy. And then you got that screen in front of you that's bright as well for the first part of it. So that's messing with my eyes as well. So, again, I love the idea of the dark ride. I love the idea of something unique and original because that's going away. And this is a unique original ride that's not based on a existing property of Disney. It's just a ride that they put in. I'm afraid when they redo it, you're gonna have I don't know, probably you probably have a little bit of who would fit in there? Probably characters from Treasure Planet. I think
Hercules would be in there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
We'll eliminate the.
I don't think they're doing that though. I think they have said that they're not going to put Disney characters into it.
This is going to be a real deal thing.
Yeah, so. I mean, this ride really is just an educational thing.
It's
fantastic.
Yeah, so, no, it's cool, and it fits where it is. It's a beautiful. The structure is beautiful. In my opinion, it's the icon of all of the Disney World Resort. In my opinion, it's more of an icon than the castle.
Sure. Yep.
It's just, it's so cool. I've gotten so many cool pictures of it. The But man, what about the place they dump you out at the end? How stupid is that? Just
It
turn it
really
into a
is.
shop.
That weird
Come on, just turn it into a shop.
Yeah, that
and it
weird
feels like it's right
playroom
out of the
area.
70s.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's
Ugh,
really
yeah, no.
old technology in there.
Yep.
Yep. So,
Yep.
all right, we're
And my Commodore
we're halfway
64.
through, and we are
We're doing
more
pretty
than halfway
good.
through
We're
the
doing
show.
pretty good.
Well, we're a little behind schedule, probably where we should be. What is your number 5, Mark?
All right, mine is going to be Rise of the Resistance.
Boo.
Okay, purely on a technological and immersive standpoint, it's absolutely number one. But they failed to capture the fact that Star Wars fans don't like those movies. And they're already trying to change that with Galaxy's Edge, with Batuu not being an actual time and place. It's going to be kind of a all-encompassing thing, so they can bring Chewbacca out or Luke Skywalker out. It's not going to just sit in that one time. So that can't happen with this ride. This ride is stuck where it's stuck. But man, you talk about technology, you talk about, it uses every single piece of cutting edge technology that Disney owns and crams it all together.
Sure.
And what I was mentioning earlier about ride queues, you are in a ride queue for 10 minutes? You don't even know you're in a ride queue because it's part of the ride.
Yeah, correct. Yep.
You're in Star Tours, and that's the ride queue. That's what it feels like. You know what I mean? It's just super awesome.
It really is a masterpiece. I've been lucky enough to be on it a couple of times with people that had not ridden it before and to watch it through their eyes. And I remember my wonder and amazement, but I didn't get to see my wonder and amazement.
You want to flex here, about this? You've been on, you've done the Trek twice. I got to flex here.
Yeah.
Has anybody else been on this ride on both coasts?
No, I have not.
I don't think anybody has.
Not.
So
You're the
welcome,
man, dude. You're the man.
Yep, we win. Anyway, so number 5.
Spoiler alert, we'll be talking about this one more in a little bit.
Yes, we will.
So my number 4, moving on, my number 4 is going to be Haunted Mansion. And when bringing up the Haunted Mansion here, because again, this is one of these classic rides that are indeed on both coasts. For me, I'm talking about the Disney World Haunted Mansion. It's the one that I ride the most. I'm not saying that it's superior. I just got a funny feeling we'll be talking about this again. So
we're going to talk about this again, and I'm just going to say right now, it is superior, just barely.
Just barely. It is. I've gotten to do the Keys to the Kingdom tour, and one of the things that you do in the Magic Kingdom is you get to see a lot of the behind the scenes inner workings of the Haunted Mansion.
Super cool.
And you hear a lot of the story of the creation. I've read the book on the creation of the Haunted Mansion as told through the eyes of the Imagineers that built it and wrote the music for it.
Is that the Jeff Curdy book?
Yes, correct. Yep. Okay. And what a spectacular. And it's one of those things that when you get into the stretching room, which by the way in Disney World, spoiler alert, does not actually stretch. But it
does stretch.
It's not an elevator like
the right way.
Yeah, it doesn't stretch. It's not an elevator like it is in California.
And what's cool about California is they had to do that. I mean, think about that. Think about how iconic that became. But they had no choice because they had to move the ride outside the berm to actually make the ride.
Yeah, and they had to go on
that was
the
the
railroad
only way they could do it.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool is that? I mean, you get probably the most iconic. There's massive numbers of iconic scenes in that ride, but that is the iconic scene in my book. Is the stretching room? Yep. It gets you in the mood, gets you going.
In much the same way too, the initial drop on Pirates of the Caribbean in Disneyland is because they had to go under the berm as well.
Right,
they had to get out of the way,
Absolutely.
So that's the only way they could do it. And fantastic use of space and engineering. And
again, 65 years ago, 55 years ago, they had to figure this out.
Yep.
And with Pirates of the Caribbean, and then they kept going. And man, the other cool thing about Disneyland's version of the ride is how long that building sat empty. Because they had so many ideas that we're going to do with it. And it became this kind of talk about building up hype. That might have been the first hype machine ever for Disney.
Yep.
Was that building just sitting there.
Well, and that and the posters. I mean, there's a whole story about the posters that they had all over on Main Street USA, advertising it 2 years out. Originally, it was going to be a walkthrough tour.
Museum of the Weird.
Yeah,
and then it was going to be the haunted house. You're going to go down the elevator, walk through the whole thing. And again, there's another amazing part about this ride. And we can talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll cover that, I'm sure. Number 4, Mark, what do you got for number 4?
All right, so my number 4, I got to get my list because I can't remember where we're at. Star Tours. Now we had talked about Star Tours. The adventure continues last time. Star Tours is the ride I remember as a kid. That is what I wanted to ride. It was a big deal when we went there. It was the new hotness. And I absolutely love that. You got Pee Wee Herman in there. You've got, Captain Rex is ridiculous. I mean, when the boarding agent with the bun on the side of her head, just so cool. Just a neat experience. It was completely 80s, totally 80s ride. And there's not a lot of things that came out of the 80s that are still there. That a lot of that 80s stuff kind of just got changed, and this did eventually too. But man, oh man, it's wonderful. And then, I mean, if you look at the Walt Disney World version, the immersion on the outside, the things that you can see near it,
correct,
with the giant AT-AT and the AT-AT sitting there, and it looks like you're with the Ewoks and things like that. I mean, you don't have that. I mean, that's the one thing I will say about Disneyland is it's just an entrance in Tomorrowland.
Yep.
And it is just an entrance there as well, but you have some immersion out front. It's super cool. Really, really love the ride. I kind of purposely put it here just above Rise of the Resistance because I do think the original Star Wars ride is superior to the new one, just in nostalgia and just the fact that that original story was really fun. And you saw things, I mean, going through the crystals, ice crystals. I never remember what they are, but smashing through everything, shaking around. You got silly captain making funny noises. Yeah. Awesome. Just wonderful, campy. It really fit the Star Wars mold of that time.
Sure.
Because really those first three movies there was some camp to them. I mean, there was some humor that you'd go, man, this is watching sci-fi, but they've got some charm there. And that ride had so much charm.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I have the original. Where is it? Back here, I've got the original. Probably can't see it, but I've got the original painting that covered up the Mary Blair paintings in Tomorrowland. Then they changed the color of the ride vehicles, ruined it for me. So, yeah. All right. Anyway,
awesome.
So, passionate about that one. Love it. So let's go. This one's going to be easy. What's our number 3?
Our number 3 is Pirates of the Caribbean. That's both of us. We're both Pirates of the Caribbean. The question is, Mark, which Pirates of the Caribbean? I mean, we talked about this a little bit. Which one is superior for you?
Is this a question?
No, it's not a question, really.
Okay, it's not a question. One is twice as long. One has 2 drops. One has the story out of order. And that again, they had to figure out how to get past the berms, so they put the end of the story at the beginning with all the dead pirates. It's super cool to think that. I mean, it's a super awesome ride. It's long. At the time, it was absolutely a unknown property. I mean, this was built because they had a passion for plundering and pillaging. Who knows? So these guys came together and decided pirates was a cool thing. They've done a better job at Disneyland as well, with updating the rides with, Jack Sparrow. And they had these mist screens for a while that were on the screen there a second ago that were dumb. They didn't work half the time, but now they've got a new piece in there. I don't know if you've seen that with the guy turning into a skeleton.
Yeah.
Were you there?
I have not seen it, but I've seen video.
Okay. It's super cool. I mean, they've changed things over, and that's the great thing. Disneyland never stops changing. And this ride is absolutely 100% an example of that, change with the times, and I know we all miss some of our beloved characters and things in the ride over the years. And there's some controversy involved with that, but man, it's still a fun as hell ride. And I'll ride it every single time I go. This is the one ride that I will not miss.
Yeah.
If I had to say, and it's not my number one, it's not my favorite ride of all, but it's the one that I cannot miss.
Yeah. I ride this every single time. I will wait in an hour queue for this ride. If it's the only chance I have to ride it. I actually spend a fast pass on this almost every time I go. My father, it was the first ride it wasn't the first ride he did when we went a few years ago, but it was the first one that he said, I've never been here, but I remember this ride as a kid.
Yeah.
Like
he get it? It was like he understood what,
Yeah, he felt the Disney magic for the first time riding this ride. But it was just funny because he had never been in all his life to Disney World, but remembered this imagery from his child because it was so, with Uncle Walt on Sundays, with World of Color and all that kind of stuff. It was such an integrated part of their lives. So that was both of our number 3s.
Yep.
And
wonderful ride. Wonderful ride.
Going
so
into
this is going to get boring here at the end.
Yeah, perhaps, because some of it's going to be repeats here. My number two, and I can't get this to slide to change right now, so hold on 1 second for me.
Now we know. So these next two rides, you're going to know all Chris cares about is technology.
That
So,
is not
here we
true.
go.
That is not true. My
That
number
is not
two,
accurate.
My number two
it?
is Flight of Passage, of which we have already seen the Flight of Passage video. But let me just bring it back up again real quick here, because you can say what you want about me only appreciating technology, but the reality is, any ride that brought me to tears belongs at the front of this. And everybody that I have been on this ride with, including Jessica's son, my girlfriend's son, by the way, who is a cynical kid who really doesn't get too excited about anything, he came off this ride on top of the world. Like, he was absolutely losing his junk as he came off. He was amazed. It really does feel like you are on top of an Ikran. Like, it really does feel like you're riding
no
a Banshee.
doubt, no doubt.
The swoops, the way that they work, the dips and the quick rises. I mean, the sense of flying in this video does nothing to do it justice. The sense that you are actually moving through physical space is unbelievable. You just can't put into words how amazing it really is. So we talked about it quite a bit. So
this ride might be the greatest example of Disney's mastery of merchandising.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you walk out of the ride and shit, I get to buy one of those if I want it.
We have 4 of them here in the house.
Yeah, I don't, but I mean, I bought some for the kids. Don't get me wrong. The kids came home with perches and all the crap that goes along with them. And
yep,
they're really fun and neat vehicle, neat toys. I mean, they move, but man, think about that. You just got to get off a Banshee and now you get to go buy your own.
Yep. And they're all individualized, different color patterns and everything else. And yeah, you get the name.
And they had a few special editions. I know it's kind of waned a little bit in that shop the last few times. The shop felt a little tired the last time we were there.
Yes, I agree 100%.
But and they probably need to refresh a few things, but it's still, if it's your first time there and you see that, you're going to be so excited. I know at some point that line just to buy the Banshee was over an hour long.
Yeah.
They're giving you tickets, you come back later. But it was kind of Disney's shots fired across the bow towards Build-A-Bear, because it kind of was it's kind of the same thing, really. So again, I don't mean to take all this time talking about merchandising. I do like merchandise, you can tell behind me. But I get what you're saying about the ride, and quite frankly, mine would have been higher if I didn't get motion sick.
Gotcha.
That's it.
What's your number 2, Mark?
All right, my number 2 is going to be Radiator Springs Racers.
Nice.
This ride, Chris and I tried to ride this one day. It was the only time I've ever been in Disneyland where it poured rain and we actually got turned away. I think I can't remember if we rode it. Remember that? And we were like soaked. We were soaked. I was wearing jeans. I never wear jeans there either. I always wear shorts. But it was cold that day. We hiked all the way around. Remember, we had to, because I didn't know what I was doing at that point. I was a little bit tired.
We went down through Paradise Pier and came.
We wandered through. We saw everything around there, and then we went into the park and we tried to go on the ride, and that was Florida rain in California, except it was cold. And I'd never forget that, because I was disappointed we didn't get to ride it. It's a wonderful ride. It's a dark ride, and then it's a exhilarating experience in a race car, all in one. And that was kind of the problem with Test Track, is the first half of Test Track isn't anything special, and then you get to do the race, which is fun. This ride has it all. I mean, you got great characters. You've got the largest audio animatronics they've made.
Yep.
With Mater moving around. Yep. I still don't get how he goes from one scene to the next so fluidly. I mean, especially after this long with no mechanical breakdowns, anything like that. It's a wonderful ride. It's well worth the time. Even if you don't have a fast pass, you can really get into that portion of the park as well. I mean, I would consider that portion of the park a massive attraction just in and of itself.
Sure. And
if you ever get a chance to go there and want to look at the flashing light outside, it does blink slower every third time, fourth time. What was that from the movie? You don't like the movie.
I love Cars. I watched Cars is one of those things that I watched too many times because I had young children.
Yeah, they loved it.
And Finding Nemo and Incredibles, I've seen those movies too many times, so I got really good at tuning them out, because you get when you would literally watch it 4 times in a single day, you just can't do it anymore.
And Angela made a good point about the great music in the ride. I mean, when you come around that corner in the waterfall and the music in the vehicle changes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you start out and you're cruising along, and then you end up in the town. And spoiler alert, are you good with this one? Close your ears if you haven't seen it. So at the end, right before you go racing, they either give you new wheels or a paint job on their vehicle.
Mhm.
I've gotten the wheels every single time except for once, and I've probably been on this thing 30 times.
Wow.
I don't know how the hell that keeps happening.
Wow,
So,
crazy.
anyway, yeah, it's wonderful.
Beautiful. Moving
Very
on.
happy it's on both of our lists.
All right, we're getting to the number ones. My
We're
number
there.
one, both of these, by the way, we've already talked about. My number one is Rise of the Resistance. And while I hear what you said about it being a less of an experience because of the fact that it's characters that people don't like anymore, like, I get what you're saying with that. I will, however, counter with technologically, as you use that as a bad thing, technologically the most amazing thing that Disney has ever put in one of their parks. This scene, the first time you see it, when you walk into the deck and the stormtroopers are all there, it takes your breath away. The scope and the size of this ride building, when you come around on your transport vehicle and there are 2 full-size AT-ATs there, you can't, as a Disney fan, I don't care if you hate Kylo Ren, I don't care if you hate Rey, you cannot beat AT-AT sitting right there. And if you're on the elevator that goes up, because there's 2 different ways of coming out of there, if you are on the elevator that goes up, that friggin' AT-AT fires at you. And I swear to God, the first couple times I saw it, I really thought, why are there so many commercials in this? I really thought that I was getting shot at by that thing. I mean, it's mind-blowing. I don't even know if maybe I can catch that scene. No, it wouldn't be here. Let me see. Oh, yeah, right here. Let me see if this is the elevator one. But it's just, I mean, it's a stunning piece of masterpiece work that they did. I know there was a lot of issues with the build when it first went up, and things didn't work properly, and it was delayed, especially in California. This is the one that goes up. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, all the pucks were in the wrong spot.
Yeah, so they had to kind of rebuild things, and that's a damn shame. But it was well worth the wait. I was able to get in there.
We were there on opening day.
On opening day,
Disney World.
And
so.
it wasn't an opening day ride. We had to go back several months later. Right here comes the shot. I mean, it's just boom. I mean, you really think that they're firing at you. It's crazy to me. So anyway, this is far and away the number one attraction for me. And the fact that people still are going to the park, even during a pandemic, and unable to get a boarding pass to ride this ride. They can now do it from their hotel rooms.
We were there.
Yeah, you can do it from your hotel room at 7 a.m. and people still aren't able to get it. I mean, it's just insane how popular this ride is. So we've said enough about it. I mean, it's amazing. I can't wait to see what Disney's next big attraction is going to be.
Shoot,
what's that?
Those turrets that shoot that you have to drive around.
Yep.
That is stunning to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that part is crazy in my book.
Yeah, and right here, when looking up, when Kylo Ren's lightsaber comes down through the ceiling right here, see if they get a good shot. Yeah, like that.
How does that happen?
I still don't understand how they do that. I mean, I do, but I don't. I mean, it's just insane how perfect that looks.
It's funny that one, the door opening where they cut the hole in the door.
Yep.
I figured out pretty quickly, but this one I don't understand it still.
It's crazy to me. It's because
pretty
you
awesome.
hear it and you feel the heat of it, and it really is insane. So anyway, that is my number one. Mark, what is your number one?
All right, so Paul Frees and his ghost host takes out Kylo Ren anytime. There's my nerd speak for all y'all. So let's go with the Haunted Mansion. This is my favorite ride. We went to the 50th anniversary event. I spent way more money there than I ever thought I could spend at a Disney park. I stood in line for merchandise for how long? 90 minutes just to get into the merchandise. And I already, pre-ordered everything ahead of time. It was just to basically inspect it and beg them to ship it home to Seattle. So, you can see behind me, that's the 50th anniversary Jeremy Fulton piece behind me there. He does a lot of the lettering and things for Disneyland and Disney World, does all the windows on Main Street for the retirees that are granted the Hall of Fame experience there. So, I love the attraction. I love the merchandise. I love the theming. The technology that came, the Omnimover that came out of it, that became a massive success for Disney, really changed the way things were. I mean, they needed to figure out a way to move people through quickly, and a walkthrough wouldn't have done that.
Correct.
And the Omnimover is, I mean, that's probably, if you're really talking about technology that Disney developed, that's probably number one, because I mean, how many rides have they used it in over the years to move people through quickly? And I mean, it's
not even
fantastic.
It wasn't even developed for the parks. It was developed for the World's Fair to get them through basically a showcase attraction. And they're like, holy cow, we can use this in the parks.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
Was that?
Adventures Through Inner Space?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, and it's fantastic.
Which later became Body Works, right?
Yeah, I think
Wars.
right at the but that wasn't there too long. So
no, correct.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a fantastic ride. I mean, there's so many iconic characters in that ride. Hitchhiking Ghosts. I mean, you've got the singing busts in there. Dog and his, the caretaker.
The Hatbox Ghost, which is only on the West Coast, which is terrible.
Yep. And then you got to talk about the Bride, and you've got so many So when we went to that 50th anniversary event, the suit of armor at the beginning, there was a dude in it.
Yeah,
the crap.
Well, that used to be part of the ride many years ago. And then there was a couple of instances where people were complaining about him touching them, and one girl attacked him out of fear, and so they pulled him from the ride. But yeah, there was a person walking around inside the ride for a number of years.
I can't imagine going to another event like that and walking into the stretching room, and every single person in there besides me, because I was dressed fairly normally. I got all these people in bow ties and excited that they're going to go on it, and every single person was everybody was going along with the narrator.
Oh, me too. Every time I ride it, I talk
every word they said, and it was just super cool. Grim Grinning Ghosts. I mean, my favorite. I mean, Yo Ho, Pirate's Life for me is great, but Grim Grinning Ghosts is my amazing. Favorite Disney catchy song. Ex Atencio wrote that one.
Wasn't even a songwriter. He was not even a songwriter.
No. Yep. He came out with I mean, think about it. Think about how catchy the stuff he came up with was. I mean, it's iconic, and this ride is iconic. It's both the architecture in Disneyland and Disney World are very different. I mean, you've got they serve the same purpose. You've got this massive house overlooking the water, but they're set in different times and different eras and different places.
And every Disney park, by the way, every Disney park has a haunted mansion, but everyone is different.
Not true.
Well, Shanghai does not, but it's a different thing.
And Hong Kong does not either.
That's right. What do they call
it? Hong Kong, they do not put those. They call it Mystic Manor, and it's
Mystic
completely
Manor,
different.
That's what it is. Yeah.
But yeah, they don't put, because of
there's
superstition
no
and things like that. They leave those out of those parks. I mean, there's definitely one in Tokyo, but yeah, it's a fantastic.
Which one has the railroad? It's the stories about the railroad tycoon. Is that the
Phantom Manor?
That's Phantom Manor. That's Paris, right? Disneyland Paris.
Yeah. Phantom Manor.
That one's really good as well. I haven't ridden it, but I've seen videos.
They're all fantastic. I mean, I haven't been to Tokyo Disneyland, but I hear it's pretty much the same ride as the California version. Oh, okay. So that may not be different, but yeah, Phantom Manor looks amazing. And you know what? That's the ride I would love to see in every park. It really is. Sure. So it has to be number one for me. Yeah. There's no way around it.
Hey, listen, I'll give it. It's my favorite early Disney ride. I know it wasn't an opening day ride at any location. Well, it was an opening day ride at Disney at the Magic Kingdom, but it was not an opening day ride at Disneyland. The building was there. But it was sometime later before it opened. This was great. This was a nice list. We got through it. Only went about 8 minutes over. That's okay.
I think we did all right.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
kept under an hour for all this. So yeah, good fun.
We probably could have done the show in 2 hours. It would have.
Yeah, we could have taken a week, and we could have gone through each ride separately, one show at a time, and really stretch this out if we wanted to. But anyway, I was thinking next week I think we should go into a deep dive on Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
We can spend some time talking about that for sure.
I think that'd be fun because, yeah.
Well, we haven't talked about it at all, and there is a lot happening in that show right now.
Something to talk about. So
yeah, this episode 3 was quite the eye opener. We'll see where they go with episode 4. They have nowhere to. First of all, Baron Zemo trending all over the internet. That man is a pimp.
When he got his mask.
Yes, it was awesome.
Super cool.
Yeah,
super cool.
I loved it. All right, man. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's episode with 10 greatest attractions for both me and Mark in Disney. And we will see you next week. I guess we're going to talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier unless I talk Mark out of it between now and then. Have a great weekend, and we will see you all soon. Bye.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.